teamriseorfall.com member, you know our study hubs are super in-depth, really organized research for all things DFS, and our goal is to give you the answer key in front of you. Today's episode is going to teach you how to use it. Let's dive into the MLB DFS Study Hub, and let's get to work. Okay, on the screen right now, you are looking at this massive Major League Baseball DFS Study Hub. If you're on our homepage right here, I'll click on the MLB homepage. You'll be able to see all of our tools, all of our content over here. You could see here are the tools on teamriseorfall.com, and the MLB Study Hub is the first one. So that is what I'm in. It does have most of this stuff in it. These are different tools broken down to organize them for you. So here's this massive study hub. Now, if you are looking at it first time ever, the first tab that will open to is the FanDuel Batter Matchups tab. Basically, everything you see here will be the FanDuel ratings. It'll be the FanDuel projections, FanDuel value based on the projection and salary, and the FanDuel ownership. So this category right here is really what you need if you're uploading and trying to crunch out some lineups on our partner site, fantasycruncher.com. Now, if you are here to do research, these are what the rest of the columns are for. You can read these. You all know what these are. You know how to use them, but what you don't know how to use is the study hub itself. So let's say I don't need DraftKings batter matchups. Maybe I don't need to look at pitcher stats. I am going all the way over here, and I'm going to click this arrow on the bottom left. This is batter percentile projections, pass on that. Let me go over to batter trends. There we go. So I have the batter trends, and we'll use this tab to show you exactly how to use the study hub itself. So from left to right, we've got name, team, salary for FanDuel and DraftKings, their positions on both as well, the batter handedness, who they're facing, and the opposing pitcher's handedness. So I can read this as Ronald Acuna Jr. is $4,300 on FanDuel, $5,500 on DraftKings, outfield eligible both sites. He's a right-handed hitter against Washington Nationals' John Lester, who is a left-handed pitcher. So all of Acuna's stats against left-handed hitters, left-handed pitchers will show up over here. So over the last 7 days, Acuna has a 503 WOBA, 200 ISO, has not struck out, but against lefties. How many at-bats is that? Well, it's only 7 plate appearances. Maybe that's not enough for me, so I go over the last 14 days. Over the last 12 plate appearances, well, maybe that's not enough, so I go last 30 days. Over his last 21 plate appearances, Acuna has a 522 WOBA, 412 ISO, has struck out 14% of the time, 14.3% of the time he's walked, and he has a 227.9 WRC plus. Now, that's cool. We all know how to read stuff like this. That's super helpful. You could look at team trends as well if you're trying to identify a very hot-hitting team against the handedness of the pitcher. So let's say we are looking at the Royals, who have 280 plate appearances against right-handed pitchers over the last 14 days. Then if I click this down arrow right here, or the plus sign, it'll open up and I can see each individual hitter splits against the handedness of the pitcher. So against a right-handed pitcher over the last 14 days, Andrew Benintendi has a 544 WOBA, 357 ISO, has only struck out 9.1% of the time. This is pretty cool because you can get a very quick look at how well a team has been hitting in their splits over the last 14 days. So the team tab is helpful. Now, let's go back to the trends tab. And I'm going to show you exactly how I am going to use these arrows. These arrows are super important to me. Here's why. Let's say I want to look at the last 30 days, and I'm trying to identify a few very hot hitters that I want to maybe give a thumb up on Fantasy Cruncher. Maybe I want to use them as my core picks on the website when I give those away. Or maybe you want to use them and you want to do your own research and find a way to identify a certain few hot hitters that are in really good spots today. So let's say I want to look for people who have a WOBA that is greater than a 400. Now, I did it. Let me show you what I did. I clicked this button, the down arrow. I went to number filters, and I clicked greater than because I want to find anybody who has higher than a 400 WOBA. Now, I'm sorting by descending. As you see, this does not change anything as far as the plate appearances. So maybe you have a number in here, and you're like, you know what? The plate appearances, I'm going to click the down arrow. You want the plate appearances to be greater than 50 at-bats. Now, I have shrunk my list down big time. Everybody here has at least 50 plate appearances in their splits. This is not 50 total at-bats for the last 30 days. This is 50 times they faced someone in the split. So Mike Trout over the last 30 days has 61 at-bats against right-handed pitchers. That's how you read this, all right? And the following splits next to it are their stats, their split stats against that pitcher's handedness in those plate appearances. So you can see Trout as a 666 WOBA, a 574 ISO in those 61 plate appearances. Now, this does not help you identify best plays. This is just telling you the people with the best stats going into the slate. If you are then wanting to find are any of them going to be of value? Okay, so I go over to the value section, DK value, because maybe you're looking for a nice value to start your tournaments off with. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try to find a hitter over a 1.8. Oops, 1.8 value. Look at this. I shrunk my pool down big time. Now you're looking at ownerships, number filters, and I want less than, I don't know, 10%. All right, so I'm going to do, 0.1. Less than 0.1. That's a percentage. There we go. So this ended up with these 4 hitters. Giancarlo Stanton might have been, by the way, these guys were a different slate, so their ownerships are just different. Giancarlo Stanton at 7.5% would have been a nice play yesterday against Lance McCullers. I have no clue how he did, but this is exactly how to use this going into your studies. Now, you can clear your filters by clicking on any of the rows that you've done this stuff in and then clicking clear filters. And this allows me to start fresh. Now, if you are searching certain positions, maybe you want to look at or maybe you're doing a showdown slate and there's a game at 6:40. Click the 6:40 time and you can look at all the splits for the 6:40 p.m. hitters. You can do this, absolutely. There's many things you can do here. These are all filterable buttons, however you want to use this. So, I don't know, maybe you're looking at second base eligible players, all right? So I've got all my second base eligible hitters. And I've got them searched in here, and all I did was I held down, if you hold down the shift button while you're clicking this, it'll allow you to highlight anybody who has second base eligible stuff. Or excuse me, the control button. All right, so I'm going to clear those out. What if you wanted to look at the Arizona game and maybe the Mets game as well? All right, so I click Arizona, I hold down the control button, and I click New York Mets, and now those two teams have been filtered. So however you choose to use these filters, you can use them to identify your different plays. Now, if I go over to DraftKings pitchers, maybe I want to find a pitcher whose opponent runs implied team total, the IRT, the implied run total, is less than 3.5 for the day. All right, so each of these pitchers, and you can sort it, each of these pitchers is implied to give up this many runs, or I suppose the opposing team is implied to score this many runs. So Nathan Eovaldi against the Detroit Tigers. Tigers are implied to score 3.45 runs on the game, in the game. The win percentage here based on Vegas line has Nathan Eovaldi at about 67%, which makes him a fine cash option. Our projections are pretty solid here at 118 for his rating and 18.26 point projection, and his value is middle of the road. Now, that's a mouthful for me to say, and that's a lot for you to take in. So if you want to use the filters to identify this for you, and that's why I did that, because that is just a lot to look at and try to decipher. Use the filters. Watch me. I'm going to go value. And I want their value to be greater than, 2.2. Oops, greater than 2.2. All right. And I want their projection over a 20. And their rating over a 120. I'm just picking arbitrary numbers. And look at that. Narrowed it down to 2 pitchers. Now, last night, if you had looked at this and said to yourself, okay, this is interesting to me, Zach Wheeler, the better value and a lower ownership, you know what? Garrett Cole and cash is a fine option. Zach Wheeler seems to be the better tournament option since his ownership is going to be 12% less and his value is higher, while the projection is, close enough here. but I'm going to go with Zach Wheeler in tournaments. By the way, Zach Wheeler last night, he scored 61 points on FanDuel. I don't know what it was, 33 or something on DraftKings. So that worked out just well, just fine. So you guys can do your own research. You can use these filters to identify people that will work for you. That is the MLB DFS Study Hub. Make sure that you are using these filters to do your research. It really, really does help you fine-tune your player pools. We'll do one more here, and I'm going to look at the hitters. So I'm going to sort by hitters, and let's do some type of cutoff here. I want a DK rating for the hitters above a 75. It has to be above a 75. Let's really cut down the pool, and there we go. We cut it down a lot here. All right, so now what else do I want to do? Let's change this and say their ownership has to be below a 15, so less than 0.15. Yeah, let's go single digits. We'll go less than 0.1, which will put them a less than 10% ownership. So now I have identified all of the hitters on yesterday's main slate over a 75 DraftKings rating based on the teamriseorfall proprietary rating scale. And these guys are all over a 75, and they're all single-digit ownerships. Now, from here, you can, identify maybe based on some stats who looks good to you, why they look good to you, and you can pick out your hitter or hitters to, toss in there as a one-off, things like that. So these filters are super helpful. If you want to get off of chalky hitters, you can, sort the ownership first and then just go from there. You have many different ways to use this. I hope that you do. Use promo code STREAM if you end up seeing this video and you're like, I want to check them out. teamriseorfall.com. Promo code STREAM will take off $5 off your first month. You do get $20 to use on Fantasy Cruncher every month as well as one of our members. That's pretty cool. And if you're here just to observe and watch some free stuff, at least hit the sub button, like button, things like that are super helpful for me to continue to do free content. Thank you very much. Take care, my friends.